Have you ever had that moment where you suddenly realize you can't depend on the very people you thought would be there forever? Maybe it hit you slowly, like sand slipping through your fingers. Or maybe it came all at once, a phone call that went unanswered, a holiday invitation that never came, a hospital room that felt far too quiet. It's one of the hardest truths life hands us as we get older. The safety net we thought we'd always have. Family, friends, even longtime neighbors can shrink, fray, or just vanish. Your kids get busy with their own lives. Your siblings start dealing with their own health problems. Friends move away, fall ill, or pass on. And before you know it, the circle of people you thought you could rely on feels smaller and smaller. It's not always about love. Sometimes it's just life, the slow drift of time, responsibilities and change. But the impact, oh, you feel it. You feel it in the quiet of the evenings. You feel it when there's no one to help lift the heavy box, no one to share that bit of news, no one to ask for a ride when your car's in the shop. And then, one day, the question sneaks into your mind. If I really needed someone who would actually be there, that question can hit like a brick wall. It can make you feel vulnerable in a way you never have before. It can stir up a kind of loneliness that isn't about being alone in a room. It's about realizing how much of your life now rests in your own hands. But here's the part most people miss. That realization, as hard as it is, doesn't have to be the end of your security, your peace, or your joy. It can actually be the beginning of something far more powerful. Because when you stop expecting the world to catch you, you start building your own ground to stand on. You stop leaning on fragile supports, and you start creating ones that cannot be taken from you, not by distance, not by age, not even by time. You see, after a certain point in life, real support often doesn't come from family. It doesn't even come from other people at all. It comes from you, from what you build inside yourself and around yourself, things that make you stronger, steadier, and more at peace, no matter who stays or who goes. And the truth is, there are 5 of these supports, 5 pillars that, if you put them in place, will hold you up in ways most people never think about until it's too late. They are quiet. They are practical. And they are yours. They won't ghost you, they won't forget your birthday, and they won't make you feel like a burden. They'll walk with you through the mornings when you wake up aching, through the afternoons when no one calls, and through the nights when the only light in the house is the lamp by your bed. These aren't just tips, they're lifelines. Or they're the things that give you back your power when the rest of life feels unpredictable. And if you're listening to this thinking, well, I'm already too old to start anything new, let me stop you right there. You are not too old. You are not too late. In fact, there has never been a better time to start than right now. Because the day you decide to take back even a small piece of your independence is the day your life changes direction. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through each of these 5 supports, one by one. And I want you to think about them, not as things you should do, but as things you deserve to have. Because you deserve a life where you feel steady and safe in your own skin. A life where you can smile knowing that even if no one shows up at your door, you are still standing on solid ground. Let's start with the first and possibly the most underestimated pillar of all. The thing that quietly decides how much freedom you get to keep as you grow older. It's not money, it's not luck, and it's not who you know. It's something far simpler and yet far more powerful. Mobility. It sounds simple, the ability to move around. But in your later years, mobility isn't just about walking. It's about freedom. It's about dignity. And it's about the quiet confidence that you can handle the day without having to wait for someone else to make it possible. Think about it. Being able to get out of bed without help, cooking yourself a warm meal without waiting for a caregiver, reaching the top shelf for your favorite mug without calling someone to hand it to you, stepping out into the fresh morning air just because you want to, that's not just movement. That's independence. And the emotional support it gives you, that's priceless. When you can move your body, even just a little, you worry less about being a burden. You feel more capable, more confident, and more in control. And here's the thing, maintaining mobility doesn't mean running marathons or doing headstands. It's about small, consistent habits that keep your body listening to you. Stretch every morning before breakfast. Walk for 10 or 15 minutes each day, even if it's just around the house. Use light resistance bands to keep your muscles active. Because your body responds to movement like a loyal friend, the more you show up for it, the more it shows up for you. I met a man named Harold, 78 years old, who understands this better than anyone. Every morning, cane in hand, he walks laps around the park near his home in Florida. Rain or shine, I once asked him, why keep doing it? He looked at me and said, because the moment I stop walking is the moment I start waiting for someone to help me. And I don't want to wait. I want to live. His mobility isn't perfect, but it's his. He still drives to the grocery store. He still visits friends on Sundays. He still climbs the 3 steps to his porch with pride, not because someone built him a ramp, but because he refused to stop moving. The reality is, when you invest in your mobility, you buy yourself more time in the driver's seat of your own life. Family may not always be there to take you to appointments or help you out of a chair, but if your legs are strong, your core is steady, and your balance is reliable, you can delay sometimes for years the day you need that help. And here's the deeper truth. When your body stays capable, your mind stays capable too. Lose mobility, and suddenly your world shrinks. You decline invitations, you avoid trips, you stop planning outings, not because you don't want to go, but because you fear you won't be able to manage. That's not aging. That's shrinking. And it's preventable. So, if you're feeling stiff, sore, or unsteady, don't judge yourself. Just start where you are. Stretch while the coffee brews. Take 1 extra lap down the hallway. Sit and stand from a chair 5 times without using your hands. Every small effort builds something big. Your own personal foundation. A foundation that walks beside you every step of the way, no matter who else shows up. Now, let's talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention. Money. Not the kind of money you see in glossy retirement brochures, yachts, endless vacations, and a wine cellar in Tuscany. I'm talking about the everyday practical reality of managing what you have in a way that makes you feel secure, not stressed. Here's the truth. In your 70s and beyond, peace of mind doesn't come from how much money you have in the bank. It comes from knowing exactly what you need, exactly what you can manage, and how to live within your means without fear or shame. That's financial simplicity. Financial simplicity is one of the most powerful forms of independence you can give yourself, and yet most people don't think about it until they're already tangled up in financial stress. Because here's what happens when your money is messy. Multiple accounts to track. Subscriptions you forgot you're paying for. 3 credit cards you rotate between, hoping you didn't miss a payment. That's not just a headache, it's emotional baggage. And emotional baggage in your later years, it weighs heavier. It can keep you up at night, wondering if you're going to outlive your savings or worrying if you'll have enough to pay for help when you truly need it. Here's the other side of that coin. When your finances are clear, simple, and under control, your brain can rest. You sleep better. You make decisions faster. You stand taller because you know, truly know, you've got your essentials covered. I'll tell you about my neighbor, Lorraine. She's 74, a widow, and a retired librarian. After her husband passed, she realized she was drowning in financial clutter. A big house she didn't need. Utility bills that felt like highway robbery. And
subscriptions for services she hadn't used in months.
She told me she used to dread checking the mail. Every envelope felt like bad news. One day, she sat down with a financial counselor. They came up with a plan. She downsized to a smaller home with lower bills, consolidated her bank accounts into one, canceled every subscription she didn't absolutely love, switched to a single credit card for simplicity. Within 3 months, she told me something that stuck. I open my mail now with a clear head and a calm heart. And you know what else she did? She started a small savings jar she calls her Freedom Fund. $10 here, $20 there, nothing huge. But every time she adds to it, she feels in control. It's a reminder that she's in charge of her money, not the other way around. And that's what financial simplicity does. It shifts the power back into your hands. Because here's the truth. No matter how much your family loves you, they can't erase financial chaos for you. And if your money is too complicated for you to manage, you end up needing more help than you want to ask for. But when you simplify, you call the shots. You don't have to phone your son every time you get a confusing bill. You don't have to wait for a family member to explain a bank statement. You can handle it. You are the captain. And let me make something clear. Financial simplicity does not mean living a life of deprivation. It doesn't mean you never buy the nice coffee or the pair of shoes that make you smile. It means you know exactly what you can spend without worry, so you enjoy it guilt-free. So, how do you start? Here's the simplest roadmap. Cancel what you don't use. Streaming services, memberships, and free trials that never ended. Combine what you can. One checking account, one credit card, one savings account. Track it on paper. Seriously. Write down what comes in and what goes out each month. No fancy apps needed. Automate the essentials. Bills like utilities or insurance, put them on autopay so you never miss them. The goal? Make it so simple you could explain your finances to a friend over a cup of coffee. Because here's the thing, when you remove financial confusion, you remove one of the biggest sources of anxiety in later life. And that's worth more than any investment portfolio or retirement plan. I've seen people with modest incomes live with more peace than millionaires simply because they know exactly where their money stands. And when you have that kind of clarity, you don't just manage your money, you manage your freedom. So ask yourself today, is my money working for me, or am I still working for my money? And if the answer doesn't feel good, start small. Cancel one thing you don't use. Combine one account. Write down 1 month's expenses. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. It just has to start. Because the truth is, you can't control whether your family shows up when you need them. But you can control whether your bills, your accounts, and your spending keep you up at night. And the day you take control of that, you buy yourself something priceless: peace. If mobility is your freedom and financial clarity is your peace of mind, then your health routine is the steady heartbeat that keeps it all going. And I'm not talking about some fancy high-intensity workout plan or expensive superfood diet you see on TV. I'm talking about the small, steady things you do for yourself every single day. The kind of things that don't just keep you alive, but keep you living. Here's the problem most people run into. They wait until something breaks before they start paying attention to their health. It's like ignoring a leaky roof until there's a thunderstorm. By the time you decide to fix it, the damage is already done. And then, your days become a cycle of reacting to problems instead of preventing them. A consistent health routine flips that script. It puts you in the driver's seat. When you have a daily rhythm that supports your body and mind, you don't have to wonder if you're doing enough. You know you are. And that knowledge is powerful. It lowers anxiety, builds confidence, and reminds you that you're still in control. Let's make something clear. This is not about perfection. This is about commitment. Because even the gentlest routine, done consistently, can change your life. Take Frank, for example. He's an 81-year-old retired electrician I know. Every single morning at 6 a.m., he makes a cup of green tea, does 15 minutes of chair stretches, takes his morning medications, and walks around the block for half an hour. Rain, shine, even on days when his knees complain. I asked him once, "Frank, what keeps you going?" He smiled and said, "It's not about exercise. It's about telling myself every morning that I still matter." That hit me hard because for Frank, his routine isn't just about keeping his joints moving. It's about preserving his identity. It's his way of saying, "I'm still here, I'm still me." And that's the beauty of a health routine in your later years. It becomes more than just physical care. It's emotional care. It reminds you that you're worth showing up for every single day. The other secret power of a consistent routine, it removes decision fatigue. You don't wake up wondering, should I go for a walk today? Should I take my vitamins? Should I stretch? You just do it. It's part of who you are. And the fewer decisions you have to wrestle with, the more energy you save for the things that truly matter. Think of it like building a sturdy path through a foggy forest. Even if the day feels uncertain, maybe your mood is low, or your arthritis is acting up, your feet know where to go because you've walked that path so many times before. That's stability. That's security. So what does a strong health routine actually look like? It's not complicated. In fact, the simpler, the better. Here are a few pillars you can build into your day. Movement, even 10-15 minutes of walking, stretching, or light resistance training can keep your muscles active and your balance sharp. Hydration, drinking enough water helps more than most people realize, from joint health to digestion to energy levels. Nutrition, eat what fuels you, not just what fills you. That doesn't mean never having a treat. It means making sure most of what you eat gives your body the tools it needs to function well. Rest. Quality sleep is a cornerstone of physical and mental health, yet many people neglect it. Medication management. Taking your prescriptions on time, every time, is a non-negotiable part of keeping yourself in the game. Now, I know some days will be harder than others. Your back might ache, the weather might be terrible, you might just feel tired. That's okay. Your routine can bend without breaking. If you can't walk outside, do laps around the living room. If you can't stretch standing up, do it in a chair. If you can't do your full set of exercises, Do half. Because the goal is not perfection, the goal is consistency. Every time you show up for yourself, no matter how small the effort, you're sending your body and mind the same message: I'm still in charge here. And here's something else. A strong health routine makes you less dependent on others. It lowers your chances of forgetting medication. It reduces your risk of falls. It helps you stay strong enough to keep doing things for yourself. That's not just health, that's freedom. So if you've let your routine slide lately, or you feel like it's too late to start, let me reassure you, it's never too late. Start with one habit, one action. Drink a full glass of water first thing in the morning. Do 5 minutes of stretching before breakfast. Go for a short walk after dinner. It may not feel like much at first, but over time, these little acts stack up. They become your safety net, your anchor, your proof that you can still count on yourself. Because, here's the truth, family may not always be there, friends may drift away, but if you have the health to move, the energy to care for yourself, and the consistency to keep it up, you've already built one of the most reliable forms of support you'll ever have. And just like that, your body becomes your ally, your partner, your daily reminder that you are still very much alive and capable. If your body is your freedom and your finances are your stability, then emotional resilience is your armor. And let me tell you, by the time you reach your 70s, that armor becomes more valuable than almost anything else you own. Because here's the reality. Life doesn't stop throwing challenges at you just because you've got a few more candles on your birthday cake. If, in fact, sometimes the challenges get harder. You've already faced losses, maybe the passing of a spouse, the slow drift of children building their own lives, or the bittersweet reality of friends moving away or falling ill. And yet, here you are. You've made it this far. That means you already have resilience. You just might not be giving yourself credit for it. But here's the thing. Emotional resilience is not about pretending everything is fine. It's not about plastering on a smile when you feel like crying. It's about allowing yourself to feel the full weight of life's emotions, sadness, disappointment, even anger, without letting them sink you. It's about knowing, deep down, this hurts, but I can handle it. The truth is, when you learn to stand steady in the middle of emotional storms, you stop being at the mercy of what or who comes and goes in your life. Your peace no longer depends on other people's actions. You carry it with you. Let me share a story with you. Eileen is 77 and lost her husband 5 years ago. She lives alone now in a small home on the edge of town. I once asked her, "How do you get through the hard days?" She told me something I'll never forget. "Every night I light a candle, not because I'm religious, but because it reminds me I'm still here. Some nights I cry, some nights I laugh, but no matter what, I tell myself, you made it through today." That small ritual is her anchor. It's her way of honoring her pain without letting it consume her. And that's the heart of emotional resilience. Not denying the storm, but learning how to stand in it without being blown away. You see, resilience isn't just about surviving big tragedies. It's also about handling the smaller disappointments that can chip away at your spirit if you let them. When your son doesn't call, when a close friend forgets an important date, when your body reminds you it can't do what it used to. If every small change knocks you down, life becomes exhausting. But when you build resilience, you start to move through these moments with more grace. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Okay, this is hard, but I know I can get through it." And here's something powerful. Resilience can be practiced, just like mobility or a health routine. It starts with self-awareness, noticing what you feel without judgment. It grows with self-compassion, speaking to yourself as kindly as you would to someone you love. And it strengthens through grounding habits, writing your thoughts in a notebook, spending quiet moments in nature. 2. Listening to music that lifts your spirit. Practicing breathing exercises when anxiety creeps in. Over time, these practices teach your nervous system not to overreact. They slow down your thoughts and give you space to choose your response instead of just reacting out of habit. And in later life, when so much can feel out of your control, that ability is pure gold. Because here's the reality. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall through. And the world will keep changing in ways you can't predict. But when your emotional core is strong, you stay steady. You stop being tossed around by every wave that hits. You become the anchor in your own life. And that's liberating. It means you can sit in silence without feeling empty. It means you can be alone without being lonely. It means you can face loss without losing yourself. So, if you've been feeling more fragile lately, more easily shaken by the little things, consider this your invitation to start building your armor. You don't need to be unshakable overnight. You just need to take one small step each day toward strengthening your emotional core. Light a candle. Write one sentence in a journal. Take a slow walk while noticing your breath. Because the truth is, no matter how loving your family is, they can't carry every piece of your sorrow. And that's okay. When you can carry it yourself and still find reasons to smile, to hope, and to care, you'll realize you have one of the most powerful forms of support there is. And that kind of strength, it's not loud, it's not flashy, but it will quietly carry you through the rest of your days with dignity, grace, and a heart that refuses to break. If mobility is your freedom, financial simplicity is your stability, and emotional resilience is your armor, then your personal code of values is your compass. It's the thing that points you toward the life you want to live, no matter how much the world around you changes. Here's the thing about getting older. The roles that once defined you start to fade. Maybe you were the parent who always showed up, the dedicated worker everyone could rely on, the spouse who kept the home together. But once those roles shift or disappear, it's easy to feel untethered, like you're asking yourself, who am I now? This is where a personal code of values becomes priceless. It answers that question. It tells you exactly who you are and how you want to live, even when life looks completely different than it used to. Your personal code isn't about rules someone else gave you. It's not about society's checklist for how to be a good person. It's about the principles that matter most to you, the ones that feel true in your bones. Things like honesty, kindness, self-respect, responsibility, or curiosity. They're not glamorous, but they are powerful. Because when you live by your own values, you stop chasing approval. You stop twisting yourself into someone else's shape just to be accepted. And you stop being rattled when people disagree with you because your peace doesn't depend on them. I think about Howard, a man I met in his early 80s. Howard isn't wealthy. He doesn't have a big family. But he walks around with a kind of quiet dignity that you notice instantly. One day, I asked him what his secret was. He said, "I have 5 rules. I speak the truth. I don't waste food. I always return what I borrow. I forgive fast, and I sleep with a clear conscience. That's it. 5 simple rules. But here's the magic. Howard doesn't just talk about them. He lives them. Every decision he makes runs through that filter. And because of that, he doesn't lie awake at night wondering if he did the right thing. He already knows. That's the gift of a personal code. It removes the guesswork. When you face a tough decision, you don't have to panic or poll 10 people for advice. You ask yourself, what do my values say about this? And you follow the answer. It's like having a compass that always points to your true north. Psychologists have found that seniors who live by a consistent set of values often report higher life satisfaction, less anxiety, and even sharper thinking. Why? Because clarity brings calm. When you know what you stand for, your mind isn't constantly churning over every little choice. You trust yourself, and that's an incredible feeling at any age. Now, here's the important part. Your values are yours. No one else needs to agree with them. You don't need to justify them or explain them in detail. You just need to live them. Maybe one of your values is starting the day with a quiet prayer or a cup of coffee on the porch. Maybe it's refusing to gossip, even when the conversation gets tempting. Maybe it's always being generous, even when you have little to give. Or maybe it's staying curious about the world, reading books and learning new things just because it makes you feel alive. Whatever they are, hold them close, because when everything else changes, those values stay. They are the thread that connects your past, your present, and your future. And they're the thing that lets you look in the mirror at 75, 85, even 95, and say, I lived my life according to what I believe. That's real success. That's real self-respect. And no one, not your children, not society, not even time, can take that from you. So if you don't have a personal code yet, start small. Write down 3 principles you want to live by from now on. They don't have to be perfect or poetic. They just have to matter to you. And then, every time life throws you a choice, hold it up against that list and see if it fits. Because when you have a compass you trust, it's easier to keep walking forward, even when the road gets rough. And when you live by your own compass long enough, something amazing happens. You stop worrying so much about who's walking beside you. You're too focused on making sure you're heading in the right direction. So, here we are. We've talked about 5 forms of support that don't depend on anyone else. 5 quiet, powerful pillars you can build for yourself. Physical mobility, the freedom to move through your own life without waiting for permission. Financial simplicity, the peace of knowing exactly where you stand. Consistent health routine, the daily rhythm that keeps your body and mind steady. Emotional resilience, the armor that lets you stand strong, even in life's storms. A personal code of values, the compass that keeps you heading toward the life you truly want. And maybe, as you've been listening, something has shifted. Maybe you've realized that while family and friends are a blessing, they can't always be your foundation. Not because they don't care, but because life changes, people change, circumstances change. And if your only source of stability comes from someone else, you're always one phone call away from feeling unsteady. But when you build these pillars within yourself, you stop waiting for someone else to catch you. You realize you are the ground you stand on. That's not loneliness. That's liberation. Think about it. When your legs are strong, you can go where you want. When your money is clear, you sleep at night. When your health habits are steady, you trust your body. When your emotions are resilient, you don't break at the first sign of trouble. And when your values guide you, you never lose your way, no matter how unfamiliar the road becomes. This is what it means to become your own foundation. It's not about pushing people away. It's about no longer needing them to hold you up. It's about enjoying relationships because you want them, not because you can't stand without them. And here's something important. You don't have to build all 5 pillars overnight. You don't have to overhaul your life in one dramatic moment. The strongest foundations are built one brick at a time. Maybe today, your brick is taking a 10-minute walk to start improving your mobility. Maybe it's calling your bank to close an account you no longer use. Maybe it's setting a reminder to take your medications at the same time every day. Maybe it's writing down one thing you're grateful for to strengthen your emotional resilience. Or maybe it's jotting down a single value you want to live by, starting now. Every small action counts. And the best part, once you start, you'll notice something: each pillar supports the others. Your mobility helps your mental health. Your financial simplicity reduces emotional stress. Your health routine strengthens your resilience. Your resilience makes it easier to stick to your values, and your values give you the clarity to protect your mobility, your money, your health, and your peace of mind. They're all connected, which means even if you start small in one area, the benefits ripple out into the rest of your life. And here's the truth: it's never too late to start. I've seen people in their late 80s begin a simple stretching habit and feel steadier within weeks. I've seen widows and widowers take control of their finances after decades of letting someone else handle the bills. I've seen people rebuild their resilience after devastating losses and come out stronger, calmer, and more certain of who they are. You are not too old, and you are not too far gone. The only moment you can work with is the one you have right now, and right now you have everything you need to begin. So here's my challenge to you. Before the day ends, choose one pillar to strengthen. Write it down. Commit to one small action you can take this week to make that pillar stronger. Because the sooner you start, the sooner you'll feel the ground beneath you grow steady. One day, you'll look back and realize you've built something no one can take away. Not time, not circumstance, not distance. A foundation made of your own strength, your own clarity, and your own choices. And that's when you'll understand something life-changing. When you can stand strong alone, you never really feel alone. So, let me leave you with this. Which of these 5 supports do you already have in place? And which one will you start building today? Share it in the comments, not just for me, but for the person who might read your words and find the courage to start their own journey. Because the truth is, we may walk separate paths, but we're all working toward the same thing: a life that feels steady, peaceful, and ours. And you have the power to build that life, one choice, one day, one pillar at a time.